All right, get ready for a wild ride, because this time we are diving deep into Norse mythology.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a stack of videos from RT documentary series to untangle. And let me tell you, this isn't your typical mythology lesson. We're talking about gods with some serious behavioral issues, epic grudges that span generations, and, that looming threat of the end of the world as they knew it.
Right. Ragnarok.
Ragnarok, exactly.
Right.
But what's surprising is how much family drama is mixed in with all the doom and gloom.
Oh, absolutely. It's surprisingly relatable, actually.
It really is.
Yeah.
And at the heart of all of it, the puppet master, if you will, is Loki, the ultimate trickster god.
He keeps things interesting.
He really does.
Yeah.
Cunning, chaotic.
Yeah.
Honestly, you never know what he's going to do next.
You never know. And his actions might seem small at first.
Right.
But they always snowball.
They have these ripple effects
Right.
that ultimately set the stage for Ragnarok.
Yep.
So to get us started, let's jump into a tale that perfectly captures Loki's talent for getting into trouble.
Okay.
It involves a quest for gold, a very unfortunate otter, and a magical ring with a nasty curse attached.
All right. I'm intrigued.
So picture this, okay?
Yeah.
Odin, the Allfather himself, is traveling with Loki and Höner, another god.
Okay.
And they're absolutely famished when they stumble upon this incredibly plump otter.
Okay.
Just chowing down on a salmon.
Naturally, they want to eat it.
Of course. They're starving. Who wouldn't?
Right.
But here's the catch. This isn't just any otter.
Uh-oh.
This is Otur, the son of a powerful sorcerer named Hreidmar.
You do not want to mess with Hreidmar, I'm assuming.
No, you really don't, especially when you've mistaken his son for dinner.
Oops.
Yeah, oops is right. Hreidmar is furious, and rightfully so.
Of course.
And he demands compensation, a hefty one.
Understandably.
The gods, well, they're bound by these ancient laws of hospitality, so they agree to pay a ransom, enough gold to completely cover Utra's body.
Seems straightforward enough.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
Except, and this is where it gets really interesting,
Really?
Utra's body, it starts to magically expand as they pile on the gold.
Ah, the sorcerer's revenge.
Talk about holding a grudge.
Right.
And naturally, Loki being Loki, he sees an opportunity in all of this.
Uh-oh. What's he cooking up?
He remembers a tale of a dwarf, Andvari, who possesses a vast hoard of gold.
Okay.
And even more interesting, a magical ring that can multiply wealth.
Ooh. Tempting.
Right. But of course, there's a catch.
There's always a catch with Loki.
Always.
Yeah.
Andvari's ring, it comes with a curse.
The curse? What kind of curse?
It promises power and riches, but at a terrible price, eventually leading to the downfall of everyone who possesses it.
Ooh, that's a steep price to pay.
It really is, and it sets off this whole chain reaction of greed and betrayal.
I can see where this is going.
Oh yeah, it gets messy.
So how does Loki get his hands on the ring?
Well, he borrows, or propropriates is a better word, a magical net from Ran, the goddess of the sea.
Okay.
Now, this isn't your everyday fishing net.
I would hope not.
No, this thing can capture anything, and I mean anything, submerged in water.
Annie?
And as luck would have it, Andvari is hiding in the form of a pike at the bottom of a lake.
Convenient.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So Loki captures the dwarf, forces him to hand over his entire treasure hoard, including the ring.
I bet Andvari wasn't too thrilled about that.
Understandably not. He was heartbroken, actually, and cursed the ring.
Oh, boy.
Predicting a future filled with, well, you guessed it, greed, betrayal, and ultimately destruction for anyone who dared to wear it.
A potent curse.
It really is. Meanwhile, back at the sorcerer's homestead,
Yeah.
Odin and Höner are waiting impatiently for Loki to return with that gold.
Right.
And Thor, well, he decides to fill the time with a little fishing trip.
A fishing trip? With Thor? That sounds interesting.
Now, when I say fishing trip,
Yeah.
this is Thor we're talking about.
Right. Not your average fishing trip.
He decides to use the head of an ox as bait.
The head of an ox?
Oh, yeah, to try and catch the world serpent?
He's going for Jormungandr.
Jormungandr.
Yeah.
A creature so massive it literally encircles the world.
I can't even imagine the size of that fishing rod.
Right. So Thor's reeling in this monstrous serpent.
Yeah.
His fishing companion for this, a giant named Hymir.
Okay.
He completely panics and cuts the line,
Oh, no.
sending the world serpent plunging back into the depths, vowing revenge, by the way.
I bet.
Thor, enraged, flings the poor giant overboard.
Oops.
Yeah, maybe don't go fishing with a god who has a giant hammer and anger issues.
Right. Note to self.
But this little fishing trip with Jormungandr,
Yeah.
it's not just a funny side story.
I figured.
It foreshadows the chaos to come,
Right.
hinting at the raw, untamed forces simmering beneath the surface of this world.
So it's all connected.
It is. So Loki finally returns to Frydmar with that mountain of gold.
About time.
But of course not without a little more trickery along the way.
What did he do this time?
Well, he presents the hoard to the sorcerer. But remember how Odin's body magically expands.
Right, like a cursed Thanksgiving turkey.
Exactly. So Odin, he's forced to use that cursed ring to cover the last whisker of the otter's pelt.
Oh, that can't be good.
And with that single act, the fate of the gods is sealed.
The curse is in motion.
And Maria's words echoing ominously in the background.
Because the ring brings about the downfall of not just its wearer, but those around them.
Precisely.
This is where those seeds of Ragnarok are really being sown, huh?
They are, because while all of this is going on, there's another problem brewing.
What's that?
Balder, Odin's beloved son.
Yeah.
Well, he's plagued by disturbing dreams.
Disturbing how?
Vivid dreams of his own death.
Oh, that's never a good sign.
Never a good sign. So Odin, desperate to protect his son,
of course,
and avert this potential catastrophe,
right,
he decides to take a very perilous journey.
To where?
To consult a vulva.
A vulva?
A powerful seeress who can see the threads of fate.
So he's seeking to understand what might be coming?
He is. And maybe even change it.
And he's willing to make some serious sacrifices for this.
Oh, absolutely. He's willing to pay any price for this knowledge.
And what does the vulva say? Well, the vulva's prophecy is, well, pretty grim.
I bet it's not good.
No, not exactly a walk in the park. She speaks of a great tragedy, a death that will plunge the world into darkness.
No.
And ultimately pave the way for Ragnarok.
This is about Balder, isn't it?
It is.
Odin's worst fears confirmed.
And she utters this particularly chilling line. She says, when Loki's chains are broken...
Ooh, that sends shivers down my spine.
It's heavy with foreboding, right? Because right now, Loki is a free agent.
Yeah, causing chaos wherever he goes.
But for how long?
Right, the prophecy has been set in motion.
And the fate of the gods is hanging precariously in the balance.
So what does Odin do with this knowledge? I mean, talk about a helpless feeling, knowing your son is headed for some terrible fate.
Well, what's fascinating is that Odin... he doesn't just accept this fate.
He's not one to just sit back and let things happen.
No, he becomes even more determined to protect Balder, even if it means making some, let's say, questionable choices.
Defying fate itself.
Exactly.
But is it enough to stop the inevitable?
Well, let's just say things are about to get a lot more complicated.
Okay, so we know Balder's fate is sealed in a way, but how does it actually happen?
All right, so Balder's death, it's one of those pivotal moments in Norse mythology, you know?
Right, a turning point.
It's not just a tragedy, it's a sign that everything's about to go haywire.
And knowing Loki is involved somehow, there's got to be a good story.
Oh, absolutely, and it all hinges on the tiniest detail.
Okay, I'm ready. Lay it on me.
So after those prophetic dreams Balder's having, his mother Frigg...
the goddess of motherhood, right?
Yeah.
And Odin's wife.
That's the one. She goes above and beyond to protect her son.
I'd expect nothing less.
She travels everywhere, to every corner of existence, securing oaths from every creature, every plant, every element.
So they can't harm Balder.
Exactly, promising not to harm a single hair on his head.
Wow, that's dedication.
Talk about a mother's love.
That's some serious love and power.
It really is, but here's the thing about oaths. There's always a loophole.
There's always a catch.
Always. And in her haste, Frigg, she overlooks the mistletoe.
Mistletoe?
Yeah, it's small, seemingly insignificant.
Who would think mistletoe could take down a god?
Right. But as we've learned, when there's even the smallest oversight, Loki is lurking, ready to exploit it.
He's always got a trick up his sleeve.
Always.
So what happens? Are we at the Great Hall in Asgard?
We are. The gods, they're feeling pretty confident, relieved even, that Balder's basically invulnerable.
Understandably.
So they come up with this, well, interesting form of entertainment.
Interesting how?
They start throwing things at Balder.
Throwing things? Like weapons?
Weapons, rocks, anything they can get their hands on.
And it doesn't hurt him?
Nope. Bounces right off.
Because of the oaths?
Exactly. They're marveling at it, but it's this weird mix of trust and, I don't know, maybe a little arrogance.
Tempting fate a bit?
A bit. They think they've outsmarted fate.
But this is where Loki steps in.
Of course, and things take a tragic turn.
I think I know where this is going.
So Loki, he spots Höner, Balder's twin brother, standing apart from the crowd.
Höner, he's the one who's blind, right?
That's right, and you can imagine the sibling rivalry there, amplified to, well, godly proportions.
Oh, I bet.
Loki, being the master manipulator that he is, he sees an opportunity.
To use Höder.
Exactly. He approaches Höder, offers him a dart made from, you guessed it, mistletoe.
The one thing not bound by an oath.
Precisely.
And of course, Loki doesn't mention that tiny detail to Höder.
No, instead he guides Höder's hand, aiming the dart towards Balder.
Oh, no.
Assuring him it's all in good fun, just a harmless gesture of brotherly affection.
That's awful. And Balder, he doesn't suspect a thing.
No, why would he? He trusts his brother.
So what happens?
Well, the dart strikes Balder and he falls, lifeless.
Oh, my gosh.
The halls of Asgard, they fall silent. The laughter, the merriment, it's all replaced by this shock and this overwhelming grief.
The gods, they were so sure they had outsmarted fate.
They were, weren't they? And it's not just the gods who mourn Balder's death.
What do you mean?
The world itself seems to weep. Flowers wither, trees shed their leaves, and this perpetual twilight descends upon the land.
Balder, he was the god of light, joy, purity.
He was, and his absence is felt in every corner of existence.
So that's it then. It's just over.
Well, this being Norse mythology, it's never that simple.
There's got to be more to the story.
There is. Balder's brother Hermod, the brave and loyal one, he steps forward.
He's going to try to bring Balder back.
He is. Hermod volunteers to journey to Hel, the realm of the dead, to plead for Balder's release.
Wow. Talk about brotherly love.
It's a testament to family, even in the face of unimaginable loss.
So Hermod's riding down, down, down into this cold, bleak underworld.
It takes him 9 days and nights to reach Hel.
9 days. Wow, he must be utterly exhausted by the time he gets there.
Oh, absolutely. And Hel, it's even more desolate than you can imagine.
And he's going to face Hel herself, Loki's daughter.
He is. And this is where we see a different side of Hel.
Different how?
She's not some evil queen of the underworld reveling in death.
Okay.
She's bound by rules, by the natural order of things.
So she agrees to release Balder.
She does, but on one condition.
What's the catch?
Every living thing must weep for Balder.
Everything? How is that even possible?
It seems impossible, right? But the gods, they cling to this sliver of hope.
They have to try.
They do. They send messengers to the farthest reaches of existence, imploring the world to weep for Balder.
Do they?
Incredibly, it works. Tears flow from every corner of the cosmos. Giants weep on mountaintops. Rivers overflow their banks. Even the rocks dampen with sorrow.
That's amazing. Balder must have been truly loved.
He was. It seems like hope might actually prevail, but then...
There's always a but.
There is. There's one holdout, one dissenter in this symphony of sorrow.
Who would refuse to weep for Balder?
An old woman, hunched and shrouded in furs. She sits at the edge of the world, dry-eyed and defiant. Her name is TikTok.
TikTok. Wait a minute, TikTok.
That name should set off alarm bells.
It's Loki, isn't it? It's got to be Loki in disguise.
You know him too well.
Of course. It's classic Loki. Just when you think there might be a chance for the world to avoid this terrible fate, he throws a wrench in it.
He can't help himself.
So Balder is trapped.
With TikTok's refusal to weep, Balder's fate is sealed. He has to remain in Hel.
The hope of his return is extinguished.
And the world plunges further into darkness, the promise of spring replaced by Fimbulwinter, the unending winter.
The harbinger of Ragnarok.
Exactly.
Loki's really done it this time.
Oh, but his actions have consequences. The gods, they're onto him now. They see his hand in Balder's death, recognize him for what he truly is. An agent of chaos.
And this all comes to a head at Aegir's feast, right?
Right. Aegir, the god of the sea.
The one who Thor went fishing with.
That's the one. So Aegir, he's hosting this grand feast, meant to be a respite from all the tension and dread that's hanging over everyone.
I can't imagine things are very relaxed in Asgard these days.
No, not exactly. But Loki, well, he's uninvited.
But knowing Loki, he doesn't let a little thing like an invitation stop him.
Not at all. Fueled by resentment, he crashes the party in spectacular fashion.
Let me guess, he doesn't just slip in unnoticed.
Loki. Blend in. Never. He unleashes this torrent of insults, accusations, brutally honest observations that leaves everyone speechless.
He calls out the gods on their hypocrisy.
Oh yeah, he goes after each one of them, highlighting their flaws, their darkest secrets. Freya, Heimdall, even Odin himself, nobody escapes Loki's wrath.
He exposes all their dirty laundry.
It's basically Loki holding up a mirror to the Aesir, forcing them to confront their own shortcomings.
Stripping away their facade of perfection.
Exactly, revealing the darkness lurking beneath the surface.
So how does the party end?
Not well. Thor, he arrives, and let's just say, he is not happy.
I bet not. What does Loki do?
Loki, ever the pragmatist, makes a swift exit, transforming into a salmon to escape Thor's wrath.
Always with the transformation.
But even Loki can't outrun fate forever. The gods eventually capture him, and they devise a fittingly gruesome punishment.
What do?
They bind him with the entrails of his own son.
His own son. That's brutal.
It's a stark reminder of the consequences of his actions.
And I bet it doesn't end there.
It doesn't. Skadi, the giantess whose father Loki had a hand in killing, she gets her revenge.
Oh, so?
She suspends a venomous serpent above Loki's head, dripping poison onto his face for all eternity.
Talk about adding insult to injury. But this isn't just about punishment, is it? Remember that prophecy, when Loki's chains are broken.
Exactly. They've imprisoned Loki to try to contain the chaos he represents, to prevent that prophecy from coming true.
But deep down, they all know it's inevitable.
The signs are impossible to miss. Fimbulwinter tightens its grip, plunging the world into perpetual darkness. The sun vanishes, devoured by Fenrir, Loki's monstrous wolf son. The fabric of reality unravels and moral boundaries crumble as brother turns against brother.
And then, finally it happens, Loki breaks free.
His chains shatter, the serpent's venom only fueling his rage. Fenrir senses his master's freedom and breaks his own bonds. Jormungandr, the world serpent, rises from the depths, poisoning the seas with its venom.
It's Ragnarok, the final battle.
Thor confronts Jormungandr, their epic struggle shaking the very foundations of the world. Heimdall and Loki, locked in a deadly dance, finally end each other's existence.
And Odin?
Odin, knowing his fate, faces Fenrir, the monstrous wolf destined to devour him. He fights valiantly, but ultimately meets his end in the wolf's gaping jaws.
It's a reminder that even the most powerful beings aren't immune to fate.
The old world is consumed by fire and flood. The gods vanquish, their reign at an end. But from the ashes of destruction, something new emerges. A world washed clean, reborn from chaos.
The new beginning.
Baldur returns from the underworld, his laughter echoing through the 9 realms. Alongside him stands Hodr, their cycle of betrayal and forgiveness complete.
And what about the world? What happens to everything the gods left behind?
2 humans, Lif and Lifthrasir, emerge from their shelter. The seeds of a new humanity, ready to inherit this fresh start. Imagine it. A world washed, clean, vibrant, and green. The sun shines bright in a newly forged sky. The cycle of creation and destruction of life and death has spun once more, bringing forth a new beginning.
It's a bittersweet ending, isn't it? The old world is gone, but from its ashes rises something new, something hopeful.
It makes you wonder, what does it mean for us that even in the face of inevitable destruction, there's always the possibility of renewal?
That's a thought to chew on. This deep dive into Norse mythology has been a wild ride, full of betrayal, epic battles, and even a little bit of hope.
It makes you appreciate those ancient tales, doesn't it?
It really does. Until next time, keep exploring those myths and legends. You never know what you might discover.